fall under a different category other than something come from pure nothing.
The first premise is a question. So the first premise is a question. Now that's kind of strange to me because I thought that premises were propositional, right? And on my view, questions aren't even propositional,
okay,
right? So that
I was going to go on and answer,
premise.
say no.
That question does not count as a premise on my view of what a premise is. Right now, give me a proposition. Right now, what I want is the first proposition, not a random detached question. Look, and now you're stunlocked. Look, I just want the first premise for the sound argument that that's a logical. Those are the only logically possible options. I'm stunlocked again. What are you doing?
What's up?
What's up? Oh, you just gonna pretend like you didn't listen to my command of you giving a fucking argument? Oh, what's up? Oh, you're still speaking? Yeah, what's the first premise?
If you're gonna be rude, just...
Oh, should I write that down? If you're gonna be rude, I'm just gonna not speak to you. What's the first premise?
Alright, give me 5 seconds so I can get the book.
This guy's getting a book for the first premise. What an idiot. On Facebook.
Yo, Brody.
I mean, what a buffoon, right?
Why you gotta be so hostile, though, man?
Especially when you think asking a question, right, is giving the first premise of an argument, right? When you ask for the first premise, you don't in there. Right? You give the first, it's
for sure. I feel you. How do you think the universe started? I'm just asking you. Like, I'm not trying to.
How do I think the universe started?
Do you think the universe is eternal? Or?
So I actually don't take a view on that matter. Right? Well, at least, yeah, so I don't take a view on that matter.
Yeah.
Now look, now that the host is back, maybe they're able to give the first premise.
Okay. Alright. You want the first premise? Alright, the first premise is if anything exists, then something must necessarily exist. Okay, that is the first premise.
If anything exists, something necessarily exists. Is that the idea? Yeah, I think that's just if P then P. Okay, what's the second premise? That's just if P then P. Okay, what's the second premise?
What'd you say?
I think you wouldn't track anyways. What's the second premise?
The second premise would be contingent beings exist. Okay, I can go further into this, and all this does is simply acknowledges the observable reality. We and everything.
The second premise is W. Yeah, what's the third premise?
There's only two premises. I can make it.
So the argument. So let's get clear on what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to give an argument for the proposition that the only two logically possible options on the. Now, look, you're given the first premise that if anything exists, something necessarily exists, right? You can put that. Well, you might think you might think you should put that in a sort of modal logic, but let's just represent that as if P then Q, right? And then you give the second premise being contingent beings exist. Let's represent that as W. Beings exist. Let's represent that as W, right? Then possible options. So what I'm going to ask you to do is give the inference rule that your argument is following, right? Such that it's valid.
Come again, you started glitching out.
Yeah, what's the inference rule that your argument is using such that it makes it valid?
I didn't even understand a single fucking word you said. You just...
Okay, let me go slower. What's the inference rule your argument is using, moron?
I'll answer the question if you can speak it like a normal human being.
I just had to slow it down for you since you couldn't track, but other people in the live watching could, right? So that's the sort of level we're at right now. So now just go ahead and answer the question. Oh no, let's just sit in silence. Let's just sit in silence and ponder. What is this inference rule? Let's just admit you don't know. You're clueless. You're sitting here telling argument, and you won't even show that it's valid, right? And validity is a requirement for an argument to be sound. This is Logic 101.
Yeah, you done yet?
And it's not because you're a fucking moron. It's because I'm a million times better than you.
No, I'm just choosing to ignore you now. Bye-bye. That's how you deal with rage baiters, KB. You just let them say what they want to say, then you just fucking go on.
He's gone. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, I don't know why he was just being so hostile. I don't know what was wrong with him.
Me neither. I just stopped answering him after I realized he wasn't gonna have an intellectually honest conversation and just sit there and try to trash everything.
I mean, damn. I guess, I mean, but Rick. I asked him, how does he think the universe started, and he just said he doesn't know. So, like, I mean, like, you can't really question if you don't know yourself. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
He said he puts himself in